Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are running the gauntlet. We're going to simulate a multi-stage data science interview walking through the exact kinds of questions you're going to face, so you are more than ready for the real thing.
15 questions. That's what's standing between you and your next data science job, and we are going to tackle every single one of them together. Okay, let's dive into this.
So here's the game plan. We're going to move through 4 distinct interview rounds. We'll kick things off with the Python coding screen to prove our technical chops. Then, we'll jump into the behavioral round to show how we think and collaborate. After that, it's a rapid-fire round on product and business cases. And finally, we'll wrap up with a debrief on how to ask the right questions.
First up, round 1, the technical screen. This is where your Python and Pandas skills are put to the ultimate test. Let's see what you've got.
All right, question number 1. You have a table of students' scores. How would you find the largest difference between the total scores of any 2 students? Take a moment to think about your approach. How would you calculate that total score first, and then find the maximum difference? Go ahead and pause here if you want a little more time to think it through. Okay, let's break this down. First things first, we need a column with the total score for each student. So we create total score by just summing up the assignment columns. Pretty straightforward, right? Once we have that, the second line does all the magic. We just grab that new total score column, find the max, find the min, and subtract. Boom, done. It's a great example of how Pandas can be super efficient.
Okay, next up. Now you've got 2 separate tables, customers and orders. Your mission is to find the lowest order cost for each customer. So this means you've got to bring that data together somehow. What's the key function you'd use to combine them before you can find that minimum value?
And yep, you probably guessed it. The first step is using pd.merge to join our customers and orders tables on the customer ID. Once we have that single combined table, we can use the super powerful groupby method. We group by both the customer ID and first name, select the total order cost column, and then just apply the .minimum function to get our answer. Oh, and that .reset indexing at the end? That just cleans up the output into a nice flat table for us. Let's try one more code challenge. You have a Billboard chart table. You need the top 10 songs from a specific year, 2010. So this is all about filtering. How would you structure your logic to filter for just the year 2010 and for a rank that is between 1 and 10? And don't forget, we have to handle potential duplicates.
And here's the code to make it happen. Look how we can chain multiple conditions right inside the square brackets. We filter for year equals 2010, and then we use the really clean .between method for ranks from 1 to 10. Once we have our filtered data, we just select the columns we want and call .drop_duplicates to make sure the list is clean. It's a really elegant way to handle multiple filters at once.
All right, let's move on. You've shown you can code, but now we need to see how you think, adapt, and work with other people. It's not just about the code, right? It's about how you use your skills as part of a team.
Question 4. Tell me about a time you were asked to do something you had never done before. For any question that starts like that, your go-to framework should be STAR. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It forces you to tell a clear, concise story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, which is way more powerful than just making vague claims.
Question 5, a total classic. Tell me about a time you worked with someone difficult. The key here is to show your emotional intelligence. You want to avoid personal complaints. Instead, focus on professional disagreements and how you used active listening and a focus on shared goals to get things back on track.
How about this one? Describe a time you needed to persuade someone. A strong answer here isn't about, winning an argument. It's about showing that you lead with data and empathy. Show that you first tried to understand where they were coming from and then used logical, data-backed arguments to make your case.
And the last behavioral question, juggling multiple projects. What interviewers want to see is that you have a system. They want to know you're not just winging it. So talk about how you prioritize, maybe using an impact versus effort matrix. Mention any tools you use, and, this is critical, explain how you communicate your status to everyone involved.
All right, you've made it to round 3, product and business cases. This is a rapid-fire round designed to test your product sense and your business strategy. We're going to kick it off with a classic A/B testing scenario.
So, walk me through how you design an A/B test. A great answer always follows a clear framework. Start by clarifying the goal. Then define your metrics, not just for success, but also your guardrail metrics. Those are the things you absolutely can't make worse, like app crashes. After that, You talk about the design, and finally, how you'd make a data-driven recommendation. So what do you do here? This is a test of your integrity. You don't bend the rules. A p-value of 0.06 is just over that standard 0.05 threshold, which means the result isn't statistically significant. So you acknowledge that. You talk about the risks of launching a feature that might not actually work, and then you decide on next steps with the team.
Here's another tricky one. Your test was a success, but you broke something else in the process. What's the plan? The crucial point is that you do not ship a feature that makes the user experience worse. You pause, you dig into the data to find out what went wrong, you work with the team to fix it, and then you test it all over again. Let's switch gears. How would you measure the success of a big new product, like Instagram TV? A really solid answer here needs to cover multiple angles. Are people using it? That's engagement. Are they coming back for more? That's retention. And do they actually like it? That's quality.
Here's a classic diagnostic case. User signups just dropped 20%. Why? The goal here isn't to guess the right answer. It's to show you have a structured way to solve problems. You start by asking questions, then you look at internal factors, then external factors, and only then do you form a hypothesis based on what you found.
Back to some theory. Bagging versus boosting. What's the real difference? Think of it this way. Bagging is like asking a bunch of independent experts for their opinion and averaging the results. It makes your model more stable and reduces overfitting. Boosting is more like a team where each new model learns from the mistakes of the previous one, building up to a single, highly accurate expert. It's great for reducing bias. Now for a SQL logic question. You don't need to write the code, just explain the steps. So first, you'd have to filter your projects table to find only the employees with incomplete projects. Then, you join that list back to the employees table to get their salary info. The final step is easy. You just sum up the salaries for that group. Filter, join, aggregate.
Last one in this round. How do you measure the causal uplift from a discount? That word causes is everything. To measure the true causal impact, you absolutely need an experiment. Just looking at who used a discount is correlation, not causation. The gold standard is an A/B test, where you compare a group that gets the offer to a control group that doesn't.
And that's the gauntlet. You've made it through all 15 questions. But remember, an interview is a two-way street. The questions you ask at the end can be just as important. They show you're not just looking for any job, you're looking to make a real impact. So what's the one question you could ask that would tell you the most about what this company is really trying to solve? That's your final assignment.